Hey Brickmaniacs, we're here getting ready to ship off with the Makin Island, and as you can see, the build has progressed quite a ways since the last time we checked into this, so I'm here with Dan because, well, let's walk through this thing before it finally decides to hit the road, huh?
Right. It's not finished, but it's finished enough to hit the road. So.
Yeah, well, and you can get an idea of the scale. I think that was, when we were kind of initially working on it, you could see the outline, but you didn't exactly know exactly how tall this was going to be.
When I did the Missouri, I actually did the whole outline, like literally did like 2 layers of bricks all the way around the whole ship, and we were able to see it. This one we couldn't do it. It was built a lot different. We had to do these big panels, and they didn't come to life until you built the internal frame. So, it was really, really slow getting to that point where you could actually start seeing something that looks like a ship take place. Once the frame started coming together, it just took off from there. So getting the skin made took forever.
Yeah, right. And similar internal structure to the Missouri in the sense that it's still the Technic lattice?
No, this is complete. This is old school brick build.
Nice.
So it's bricks and brackets. My 2 favorite Lego elements.
There you go.
So it's mostly on the inside of the ship. It's mostly classic 2x4 bricks, or whatever else I could scrounge up.
Sure.
And on the side, it's all plates.
Right.
Shaped to the way it needs to be shaped. So it studs up. There's a couple places that are attached with Technic beams. It has to be where the bow transitions.
Yeah,
because we have studs facing forward, studs facing left and right. It's quite a it's built like you would build like plywood. It's just interlocking layers holding itself together. So this is sturdy. I wouldn't trust these tables, but if it was on the floor, I might step on here just to show you.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. Look at that. That's kind of interesting though when you think about it. It's the tables you don't trust standing on, whereas the ship itself is absolutely durable. And then I think the next big phase was when you started to put the actual deck on. Then you could really get an idea of exactly how much space we're working with up above everything that is internally contained in the
flight
ship.
Deck.
Right.
Yeah, and it's still yet to be tiled. So it's kind of interesting that we're going to have this. You're seeing it with all the studs out.
Right.
At a future phase, it's going to all be tiled. We'll print the little tie downs on the tiles, do the whole ship. We're just getting ready to move it now, so it's missing the upper half of the superstructure, the forward half. So a lot of the main components are here, but if you look at pictures of the ship, it's covered with like ugly warts all over, like little antennas, radar dishes,
all sorts of stuff. Well, and the superstructure has sure come a long way. I mean, literally, we just saw the update of getting this deck on, and now we're already starting to build up even further. Do you know exactly how tall from superstructure to the bottom of the waterline this thing will end up being?
Over 6 feet. So right now, I think we're at this is about 30 inches, so about 3 feet. So you got about this much more of the superstructure, and then all this lattice of antennas and stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah, it'll be eye level for me when it's done. So. And it's sitting on the floor. So the deck is about 22 inches, and then you go up from there. So.
Wow. So
just to give you an idea of the difference between this, the deck of the Missouri is 10 inches. No, not even 10 inches. It's like closer to like 6 inches.
Sure.
It's sitting low in the water. It's a battleship.
Right.
This thing's full of air. It sits high in the water. It's like an ark. It's an ark for Marines. So
has there been any surprises in the composition? Obviously, you've had to do a lot of research into the Makin Island itself. When you're working and translating that to Lego, have you run into any issues where you're kind of like, oh man, that's more difficult than I thought it was going to be?
It's just the size. I mean, that's when you look at it, it's like, oh, that's not very big, and then you get up closer, and like, that's huge. And I'm like, oh, that'll take me a couple hours to build it, and like days later, I'm like, oh, I really underestimated that. So the well deck, it took me a couple of weeks to get the well deck and there's a ramp that comes off the well deck. There's a ramp in the back.
Yeah, let's check that out.
So we go to the stern here. This is the well deck. So this is where the hovercraft or the landing craft will come on.
Yeah,
or it could be amphibious tracked vehicles too. So this can fit 3 of our LCACs. I don't think I want to stick 3 LCACs and I have to fish them back out. I was thinking, Landon was thinking he might fit in there.
Be able to fit, yeah, you never know. I mean, there's plenty of length, that's for sure. Wow, it's amazing how far that goes up in there. I mean, it's really incredible.
It's like 10 feet.
So what was the big planning blueprints wise difference between kind of this front part that you knew you weren't going to have to work a well deck within versus when you started working back, you're like, man, I got a lower deck, I got a middle deck.
So the front was easy because there's no insides.
Right.
This is more difficult because I had to build not only the exterior of the ship, but the inside first. So any part that you can look in and see has to be built. And this is it all lights up too. So
sure.
Yeah, the hangar deck and the well deck should be lit up.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
So I was thinking we could probably stick about maybe a dozen cases of beer in there. So maybe during the show we'll have to put something that like slowly pushes the beers towards
Right, there'll be room for ice too.
Yeah. And the same with the hangar deck. So you have a hangar deck directly above the well deck. So this is where they would work on, you know, aircraft maintenance, things like that.
Obi-Wan, you know, fighting Vader.
It should be all full of tools and airplanes being and helicopters being repaired. But
look how cavernous that looks in the light with the lights on like that. It looks like a real space.
Yeah, you could look through and see the other side.
Wow.
You can see the other door on the other end.
That is just unreal.
You need to land and looking in there. That'd be a scary thought.
Well, and even all the railings and everything that you have already put into the well deck.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some of the details really starting to come together.
The thing is if you're going to see this is going to be on the floor. You're pretty much going to have to lay down on the floor to look down.
Yeah, to get into it.
So
kind of an interactive display.
Right, and the reason we're going to put it on the floor is that kids will not be able to see what's on the flight deck if it was up on a table like this. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I'm building on it. Like I really need some scaffolding.
Yeah, sure.
I'll put this thing on the floor.
Well, and what's going to be on the deck is already starting to come together too. As you can see, we have got a Viper sitting here and an Osprey at the other end, but then this whole table full of CH-53s and more Vipers and Venoms and an F-35 and then obviously the LCAC.
Yeah.
This thing is going to have a lot going on top of it as well as the structure itself.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Marines to go on it. We have lots of Marines.
Got to have them.
Right, so we have LCAC. We're going to have a bunch of Humvees to put together. So the LCAC should have about a dozen Humvees on it. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. Excited to see this thing. I know everybody at Nebraska Brick Days at Brick Fair, Virginia is super anxious to see the centerpiece arriving, and well, it's certainly worthy of it too, given its incredible size. So,
right.
And even just kind of like the angles you can see that the transition from this really, really pointed front of the ship and then all the way back into that well deck. I mean,
it is a box.
Yeah, it's crazy the way it comes together and all the different elements that are combined into it.
Yeah.
So what is next?
Well, I'm just going to get it ready enough. There's just so much more to be done. I mean,
yeah.
After we get back, so we'll take this to 2 shows in the next 2 weekends. Have a preliminary, here's what the Makin Island in progress looks like. And I'd say there's probably months and months worth of fine detailing.
Yeah, okay.
Yet to go in this. There's down the sides, there's catwalks down both sides of the ship, tons of I think 142 lifeboats.
Sure.
That have to be built and stuck on there. Yeah, life rafts. They're like capsules that expand into a life raft. So those all have to be done. All the antennas, all the weapon systems. I mean, maybe we'll motorize the elevators.
Wow.
So the elevators, I'm surprising are, I'm testing them to make sure they don't fall off.
Yeah, sure. Got to keep them functional.
Right.
Well, and that's pretty cool to see.
They're not functional. You could pose them, but they don't. I would like to motorize them.
Yeah, so they can actually go up and down. Yeah, that'd be fun to see.
There's plenty of room in here to hide motors and electronics.
Yeah, well, and we're excited to see too how the lighting and everything comes together. I'll tell you right now, video obviously is able to show off just how crazy this is, but it is nothing like seeing it in person and watching it come together. So if you're able to make it to Brick Fair, Virginia, they're coming up next week, or if you're at Nebraska Brick Days this week, make sure you swing by and check out the Makin Island, because this. Well, as we've seen from some people walking through here already, they start in the GHQ and see the Missouri and they're like, oh my gosh, what could be possibly bigger than that? And then they walk in here and see this and it's like, he's insane. What is going on here?
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So really, really cool to see. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, I think let's wrap this up so I can get back to building.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure to come see the Makin Island on the road.